And we've got on board with us Manish Gulati, the CMO and COO at HEG. A lot of concerns playing with the entire sector and the company, so let's address all of those. Manish, hi, morning. Congratulations firstly on a good set of numbers which have come in above expectations. But tell me, what was the average contract price for both domestic and export orders for both UHP as well as non-UHP during Q3?
See, I should not be giving specific numbers, I guess. But I can tell you, as you can see from the results, our pricing for, if you compare with Q2, it has been, the Q3 pricing has been absolutely comparable, both in export as well as domestic. So there's not been any significant difference between the two quarters, and which is very clearly evident from the results.
Right. So what was the general trend in the pricing in the third quarter, lower, higher compared to the months before that?
Yeah, again, I cannot disclose a specific number, but it is so easy for you to calculate yourself. I can tell you that our capacity utilization for this quarter is 82%. And then, I leave it to you to calculate. And I can say that it is same, it's almost the same as Q2.
Manish, let's also understand whether you're sensing any sort of pressure in the domestic non-UHP prices since the removal of the anti-dumping duty on China, and what about the UHP prices given the fact that there was a downward pressure that we've seen in steel prices?
Yeah, I can explain this point. You see, this anti-dumping removal on Chinese and also our pricing have resulted in increase in imports coming in from China. If you, year on year, there has been quite a significant increase. But we compete with Chinese electrodes for the lower end of the electrodes, which are mainly used in ladle furnaces or small furnaces. 80% of our produce is the ultra high power grade, where we do not compete with China, or rather they do not compete with us. So that part is secure, but yes, the low-end electrodes, there has been an increase in imports after the removal of anti-dumping duty.
Now, the margins in the quarter have been strong. Can you tell us a little bit more about your average pricing of needle coke during Q3? You had mentioned during Q2 that the debottlenecking in Phillips 66 is happening. So did that enable the supplies and therefore you've seen higher margins?
See, we could, if you're talking about needle coke pricing, it has been going up every 6 months. We had a level of pricing in H1 of 2018, which increased by, let's say, $1,000. With H2 of 2018, then another $1,000 level for H1 of 2019. So needle coke prices are increasing sequentially. And yes, it does affect our cost, it increases our cost. And but so far, for the last 3 quarters, they have all been more than taken care of in our electrode pricing. They were passed on. So, and that also reflects in the kind of our EBITDA margins, as you can see. But yes, the prices are increasing every 6 months.
So what kind of capacity utilization are you looking at?
I would say for this quarter, our capacity utilization was 82%. For next quarter, we are expecting it to be around 87% or let's say 90%, high 80s, let's say high 80s. And next year, depending upon how much needle coke we get, we are looking at 90% capacity utilization for 1920.
Now, since needle coke prices have been increasing, since there is an inventory lag of 4 to 5 months, how would you say this could impact on HEG's EBITDA?
Slightly. Because electrode pricing have stabilized, and if needle coke prices goes up, that does put pressure on margins.
Right. So 82% utilization was even lower than Q2, isn't it?
See, last quarter was around 80. This time it's 82. So it's increased over the last quarter for sure. And yes, your question that why it is so. It's the constraint is needle coke. If we would have abundant needle coke available, yes, our capacity utilization could have been higher.
And finally, can you tell us what is the status on the Iran exports post the sanctions by the US?
Yeah, post 6th of August, after the 90-day wind down period, we have stopped exporting to Iran. and we keep in touch with the government, we keep in touch with the UCO Bank, and our product cannot be exported to Iran as of now. We'll be awaiting the go-ahead, when these sanctions go off or something, but the fact remains that today we cannot export graphite electrodes to Iran.
All right, thanks very much for joining in and giving us a heads up as to how